to send it to your classmates. So guys, we're going to start the class. I'm recording the meeting. I'm recording the class because I know that some of your classmates are not in the class and they have an excuse. So today we're going to be working in passing. Let me try it. Passing decimals, passing decimals, passing decimals. I'm sorry for my handwriting, guys. Passing decimals
Mister, we can't
into
see the screen.
all.
Mr. I think you stop present.
Let me. Okay, yes,
Yeah.
yes, it's correct. Thank you, guys. Okay, now you can see my screen, right? Passing
Yeah.
decimal, passing decimals into fractions. We are gonna see, guys, how to pass a decimal into a fractions. Passing decimals into fractions. Guys, do you remember the decimals, right? For example, if we have, let me see, if we have 8.65, for example, we're gonna learn, guys, how to pass 8.65 into the fraction. And the fraction of 8.65 is 173 over 20. So we are gonna learn how to pass the decimal into a fraction. So before, guys, knowing that, it's pretty important for you guys to know uh, about exponents. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you guys, what comes to your mind when you hear the word exponents? What comes to your mind when you hear the word exponents, guys? What's the first thing that you think when you hear the word exponent?
Two square.
The square.
We know what they are, Mr.
Okay, guys, we are gonna see exponents, okay? But not like deep. We're not gonna see this topic of exponents right now, but it is important for you guys to know a little bit about exponents, okay? Because in 8th grade, remember that you are 7th graders. Next year, guys, you're going to be working just with exponents, a lot with exponents, guys. So what is an exponent, guys? For example, what happens if we have the number 7? The number 7, guys, we can have 7 elevated at number 1. We can have 7 elevated at number 2. We can have 7 elevated at number 3. We can have 7 elevated at number 4. 7 elevated at number 5, and to the infinite. We can have the number 7 elevated at the number we want. For example, we can have 7 elevated at 19. Or we can have 7 elevated at 231, for example. Just an example, okay? So this is an exponent, guys. The number that we have here, guys, we are gonna know this number, this one, all these numbers, guys, all these numbers are called exponents, or we can call it like degrees. We can call this as a degree or exponents, okay? Or we can call this as power, okay, kids? So that number, guys, it's called exponent or degree or power. But what is the difference between the 3 numbers? Well, in algebra, you are gonna see, guys, that we call degree to an exponent that is related with a variable. For example, next year, guys, you are going to see numbers and variables together. Variables are letters, guys. For example, you're gonna learn next year polynomials. This is a polynomial, guys. Just an example, okay? We're not looking polynomials. This is just an example. This is a polynomial. So you are gonna learn how to solve this kind of exercise using letters and using numbers. But right now we are just focused on the exponent, on the number. So if we have 7 elevated at 1, guys, we don't have to write the number 1, okay? When we just see a number, guys, like this, like just a 7, we already know that this 7, guys, it's elevated at 1, but we don't have to write the 1, okay? We start writing the numbers, the powers, when we are in 2, in 3, and 4, and the other numbers, okay? And for the number 2, guys, for the number 2, we have a special name. For all the numbers, guys, that are elevated at power 2, we have a special name, guys. And we are gonna call this number a squared, okay? We are gonna call this number a squared. And how can we call this? Okay, we're gonna set 7 squared. That's it. For example, if we have 8 elevated at 2, we're gonna set 8 squared. And what means 8 squared? Okay, 8 squared means that we have to multiply 8 times 8. And how much is 8 times 8, kids?
64.
64.
Yes, is 64. So if we have, for example, 5 squared, it's going to be 5 times 5. Okay, it's going to be 5 times 5. It's a complete error, guys, if you said that 5 squared it's the same as multiplying 5 times 2. Okay, this is not correct, guys. If you are telling me that 5 squared it's the same as multiplying 5 times 2, this is completely correct. Incorrect, sorry. The good way is this one, 5 times 5. So let's see. How can we call this number, guys? How can we call this number in here? How can we call this number, kids?
1 squared.
21 squared.
21 squared, yes. Always when we have a 2 in the exponent, okay? A squared. Okay, we have another name, guys, when we have the number 3. When we have the number 3, we call this, guys, cubic, okay? We call this cubic. Okay, kids? We are gonna call this cubic. So we are gonna learn the last letter in here is a C. It's a C, not an E, okay? Cubic. Guys, so we're gonna read this number as 7 cubic, okay? We're gonna say 7 cubic. For example, if we have 5 cubic, we need to do the same as with the square, but now we have 3, so we're gonna multiply 5 times 5 times 5, okay? And we are gonna set, okay, how much is 5 times 5, guys? The first two 5s.
25.
Okay, 25. 25, yes. And how much is 25 times 5?
125.
Yes, 125. So the answer of 5 cubic is 125. Guys, this is pretty important for you to know because in the next years, you are always going to be working with this. A lot of exponents. You're gonna use, guys, for example, in real life, we use the exponent squares to measure distances. For example, if you guys want to know, for example, let me see. Can everyone can you see my pencil in here? Can you see my pencil, guys? Okay. If you want to know, guys, the measure of this pencil, you want to know the measure of the pencil, you're gonna need geometry. I know that you guys at this point you don't know what it's geometry. It's just an example. But in geometry, you're gonna learn that you are going to be working in meters, because that's like the unit to measure distance in meters. And when you're measuring, guys, a distance, you are going to do it in meters, okay? And you will get the area. For example, do you guys see my cell phone? Can everyone see my cell phone? Yes? Okay, guys, if you want to know, guys, like all the area of all the cell phone, remember, area and distance is not the same. If you want to know the area of the cell phone, all these, guys, you are going to be using exponents, because you're going to measure the height and the base, and you're going to multiply both, and you're going to get meters and meters, and it's going to be meters squared. So this is just an example, guys. Okay, so don't worry about it. This is just an example of how we use exponents in real life. Okay, so now let's continue with the main topic, that is passing decimals into fractions. But first of all, guys, you will need the exponents of the number 10. You will need, guys, the exponents. You will need the exponents. I'm gonna try just expo for exponents. I'm gonna try just the word expo. You're gonna need the exponents of 10, okay? You are gonna need the exponents of 10. For example, in here, I wrote all the exponents of number 7. So we're gonna get the exponents, guys, of 10. So the first one is going to be 10, right? The second one, how do we call the second one?
10 elevated to 2 square.
A square, 10 elevated at 2. It is 10 squared. Remember, just the 10 squared. Okay, we don't say 10 elevated at squared. No, just 10 squared. Or 10 elevated at 2. But it's better for you guys to use the word squared. How do we call the third one? How do we call the third one, guys?
10 elevated to square cubic.
Just 10 cubic, guys. 10 cubic. Or 10 elevated at 3. If we are using the word elevated, we have to use it elevated at 3. If we are using the word cubic or squared, just squared or just cubic, okay? Then when we have 10 with the fourth, we said 10 elevated at 4 and 10 elevated at 5 and 10 elevated at 6. And you're going to have the rest of the numbers, okay? But for this topic, we just need 10 elevated at 6. From 10 elevated at 1 through 10 elevated at 6. So now, how much is 10 elevated at 1, guys? 10 elevated at 1.
10?
Yes, it's going to be 10. How much is 10 squared? How much is 10 squared? Or 10 elevated 100. At 2?
100. 100.
Yes, because 10 times 10, right? Now, how much is 10 elevated at 3 or 10 cubic?
1,000.
1,000.
1,000.
Yes, we have to multiply 3 times the 10. 10 times 10 times 10. Now, how much is 10 elevated at 4?
10,000.
10,000.
Yes, we have to multiply 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. So we're gonna get 10,000. How much is 10 elevated at 5?
100,000.
100,000. Yes, 100,000. And how much is 10 elevated at 6?
Million.
Million.
Sir,
Yes?
10 square, and you only put 1 0.
Oh, yes, thank you. I just put 1 0 here. There is 100. And here we have 1 million. Here we have 1 million. Okay, great, guys. Well, this is going to be, guys, like our base to pass decimals into fractions. This is going to be like our base to pass decimals into fractions, okay? So let's start with the previous example that I drew to you. What happened if we want to pass 8.65 into a fraction? Okay, you are going to follow, guys, the next steps. You are going to see step number 1. First, how many decimal numbers do you see in that number, guys?
Two.
Do you remember which are the decimal numbers? The ones that are in the right part of the decimal point. This is the decimal point. How many numbers do you see to the right part of the decimal point?
2.
2, right? The 6 and the 5. So you are going to see in your base which of the green numbers has 2 zeros. Which one?
10 square. 10 square.
But what is 10 squared? How much is 10 squared?
100.
100. Yes. So you are going to use 100, okay? You are going to use 100 because 100 has 2 zeros, and here I have 2 decimal numbers. Okay, but what we need to do, guys, with those numbers, okay, you're gonna take your decimal, you're gonna write 8.65. And do you remember, kids, if we don't have any number in the denominator, which number can I write in the denominator if we don't have any other number?
1.
0.
1,
Sorry.
not 0. Who said 0?
Sorry, I heard 0.
Not a 0. Okay, now we have to multiply this. Multiplying, remember that this point means multiplying, okay? Multiplying 100 over 100, okay? 100 over 100. It's important for you to know, kids, that we are not gonna simplify this fraction, okay? We don't have to simplify. We are not gonna simplify this fraction, okay? We are going to work with the whole fraction like that, not simplify. Sorry. Yes, do you have any question?
Why, Mr. White, we cannot simplify?
I'm gonna tell you, Juan Diego, okay? So we are not gonna simplify this, guys, because we have to multiply these numbers. And how can we multiply a fraction, guys? Well, if we wanna multiply a fraction, kids, we have to take numerators multiplying numerators, denominators multiplying denominators, okay? But how can we multiply a decimal number with a whole number? Okay, let's see here. let's put a parenthesis in here. If we have, guys, 8.65, if we have 8.65 and we want to multiply this times 100, we are gonna do the following step. How many zeros do you see in this? 2, right? So you are gonna take your decimal point and you are gonna move this decimal point 2 steps, 1 and 2. So we are gonna try the decimal point in here, and we have to erase it for here and write it in here, okay? So if we do that, guys, we are gonna have 8, 6, and 5, and the decimal point at the end. But when we have a decimal point at the end, we don't need to write it, guys. We can leave it like that, okay? So how can we read this number, kids?
865.
865, yes. So if you multiply 8.65 times 100, it's going to be 865, because depending of how many zeros do you have in here, you're gonna move your decimal point, okay? We have 2 zeros, so we move the decimal point from here, 1 and 2 to here, okay? And we erase the decimal point from here and we copy the decimal point in here, okay? So this one times this one is going to be 865. 865 over how much is 100 times 1?
100.
100. Yes, remember that everything multiplying times 100 is 1. It's the same. I'm sorry, everything multiplying times 1, it's going to be the same. In this case, 100 times 1, it's going to be 100. Now, can we simplify this fraction, guys? 865 over 100. Can we simplify that fraction?
Yes.
How?
By 5.
By 5, yes. If we divide both numbers by 5, we are going to have 865 divided by 5 is going to be 173. 173. If we divide 100 divided by 5, it's going to be
20.
20. Now, can we continue simplifying this, guys? Can we simplify 173 over 20?
No.
No, right? So this is going to be my final answer. As you can see, it's the same that I wrote in here, 173 over 20. 173 over 20. Tell me, if you have a question, ask me. You have a question? Someone of you raise your hand, guys. I can see
Yes,
your names.
I have it.
Yes, tell me.
I just want to say something. I think that it was more difficult.
You thought it was more difficult, this topic?
Yes, but
No.
I have another thing. We can pass a fraction to a decimal.
A fraction into a decimal? Yes, you just have to divide the number. And I know that you already know how to divide the number, right?
Yes.
Okay. Guys, if you want to pass a fraction into a decimal, you just have to divide. That's it. And you already know how to divide numbers, right? Okay, Boris, any question?
No.
Luis Ricardo, any question?
Yes, Mr. How do we know with which exponent we're gonna simplify the decimal?
What do you mean? In which part?
In the decimal, when you put that, we need to do it by
By
square.
100?
Yes.
Okay. Luis Ricardo, we have the number 8.65, right? So how many decimal numbers do you see in this exercise, Luis? The decimal numbers are the numbers that are in the right part of the decimal point. How many numbers do you see in the right part of the decimal point?
2.
2, right? So you are going to check your base. This is your base, remember. And you're gonna use a number that has 2 zeros. Which number has 2 zeros?
100.
100. So that's why we are using 100. If we had, for example, 3 decimal numbers, we're gonna use 1000. If we have 6 decimal numbers, we're gonna use 1 million. Okay? Okay, Luis?
Yes, sir.
Yes. First, Juan Diego, and then Cesar.
Yes, sir. So we can only use the exponent from 10.
Yes, just the exponent of 10, kids.
Just from 10.
Just the exponent of 10. Cesar, tell me.
Okay. When we need to pass a decimal number to a fraction, we need to multiply that. We need to do the 8.65 over 1, and then multiply by, if the number have 3 fractions, with
1000.
With 1000.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I understand. Okay.
Guys, we're gonna do another exercise, okay? So don't worry about it. But do you have any question right now? No? Okay, we're gonna do one with 3 decimals, okay? Let's see, 391, sorry. 8.391, okay. Go to your base and see which number has 3 zeros.
1000.
1000, right? And I'm looking for 3 zeros because I have 3 decimal points. 3 decimal numbers, the 3, the 9, and the 1. So I have to do the same. Divide this by 1 and multiply this by 1000. By 1000. This one multiplying by 1000 and this one multiplying by 1000. 1000. Now multiply this one times this one and this one times this one. So if we want to multiply, guys, 8.391 multiplying 1000, remember how many zeros 1000 has?
3.
How many?
3.
3. So you're gonna take our decimal point and we're gonna move 3 steps. Okay, so we're gonna have 1, 2, and 3. So we have to put the decimal point at the end of the number. Okay, we're gonna put the decimal point at the end of the number in here. But remember, when we have a decimal point at the end, we don't have to write it. So we just write the number 8,391, okay? Divided by 1000 times 1, guys.
1000.
Yes, divided by 1000. Now, can we simplify this fraction, kids? Can we divide both numbers by 2? No. Can we divide both numbers by 3? Can we divide both numbers by 3, guys? No. Can we divide, for example, both numbers by 4? No. Can we divide both numbers by 5? No. Can we divide both numbers by 6? No.
No.
Can we divide both numbers by 7? No. What happened with the 8? Can we divide both numbers by 8? No.
No.
Can we divide both numbers by 9? No. So what's happening when we can't simplify the fraction?
And
This is
we
the
give
answer.
it like that.
This is the answer.
We just say that this is the final answer. So we already know that 8.391, it's going to be 8,391 over 1,000. Okay?
But you can put the other one, the slide for the. I need to see something. I'm confused in something. You can put the slide for.
Let me see, guys. Let me see, guys, because we don't have more time in this meeting. So remember that join again the meeting. We're going to continue right now, okay? This was the first hour, just explaining the topic. If you had more questions, let me know. In the second hour, we are not going to have a break. You have to join right now, okay? So disconnect of the meeting and connect again, please. Goodbye to everyone.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.